Hello everyone, it's me again with the third video this week where I'm talking about my plans for 2026. There was a document dropped yesterday which outlined my vision in bullet points, but what I wanted to do is rather than write huge walls of text about everything, I thought let's just do another video where I can just talk through things in a bit more detail. Before I go into the specifics in the list, I just wanted to spend a tiny bit of time just helping to set the context of why I have this vision, what I want to achieve from it, and also maybe why I didn't do some of these things last year. So I've got three key context setting points, which is the first one is we're going from foundations to shared ownership. I think that last year we were rebuilding from scratch. I think that meant that, we had no momentum. We had people who were skeptical of certain ideas or didn't really understand what the end vision would look like, what it would feel like. Always have some naysayers that needed to be brought along as well. And so a lot of it I felt had to come from me because I needed to show people the art of the possible. Fortunately, we had lots of people buy into it, and their efforts on top of mine, this was never a solo thing, managed to create some really strong foundations. And I think it's from those foundations that we are now able to decentralize. We can start to push those things out, because I don't think you can build these things from individuals or small groups. I think it has to come from that shared sense of responsibility. And to do that, you need to decentralize it. You need to get more people involved, because it's through that that you establish culture. Culture isn't about the plans or the checklist points of, just one person or one plan. It comes from people interacting and building relationships and riffing off each other. And from that, it just becomes the way that things are done. And it takes on and breathes a new life of its own. And that's what's important, because it outlasts any individual captain, it outlasts any individual committee, and it allows everyone to have that feeling of that this is their squad England. It's not just a few individuals that get voted sort of every year or so. It belongs to everyone, and what's the point in having a national team if it doesn't belong to everyone? So yeah, momentum makes the next step possible. I think we've done an incredible amount of work building that momentum. Lots of work still to do, but we're not starting from scratch anymore. We have energy, we have passion, and it's those things that's really going to make the difference. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty of it. So we've got two big sections. First one focusing on Squad England, the more sort of competitive side and preparing the team. And then the next section will focus on community building. So the first point is the Squad England Charter. So, we have a committee charter, sort of understanding the roles and responsibility of the committee. We've created a code of conduct last year. And I think it's ready to make the next step, which is creating a charter for the squad players, what we expect of them, what they're signing up to. This is something that I wanted to do last year. I was afraid of pushing people too hard. I was afraid of putting people off by doing too much. We have to remember that the squad expansion was a new thing, and not without some controversy. So me deciding to, create this kind of more competitive squad that would all talk together was effectively the first step of that. Learned a huge amount from that experience. In hindsight, I should have maybe not pushed so hard in some areas and pushed harder in the others. But I think we have a really good understanding of what we want that to be now. And so, yeah, the first step is creating this charter. It's something that I do want to be heavily involved with, but again, I don't think because these, as captain, I would have the, authority to kind of pick whoever I wanted for whatever reason. But I think if we want this to be a lasting thing, it has to go through the committee, probably has to go through a community vote as well. Maybe we change the committee charter to reflect that we now have a Squad England charter, which will form part of that sign-up process. So really, that's the way that I see this going. The next thing to look at is the Squad England schedule. So again, it was something that I was thinking about putting in last year just to give some clarity to everyone on what everything looked like. In the end, I decided not to, and I think it would have been a big mistake to have done it last year because we were rebuilding, we were still learning, and what I didn't want to do was be too rigid in what that plan was going to be. I didn't want to create artificial deadlines that we then couldn't meet, or then we had to keep moving things around. And the end result is everyone would have been quite confused and it just would look bad, like the system wasn't working. So I deliberately retained the option of being more flexible. As I've put in my reflection video, I think one part of that was a mistake. We did pick the final team too late. And it's things like that, the learning experience, that I want to address this year. I think it's really important now that we are decentralizing, that this information needs to be more publicly owned, more publicly accessible, so that people don't have to kind of keep checking in with a small group or waiting and wondering when things are going to happen or being too reactive. It allows them to start planning ahead. But I think that's only possible because we have a much better idea what we want to do this year than we did last year, because we were still trying out things, experimenting, making sure that people were up to speed and on board before progressing to the next step. I think that the expansion to the squad of 24 was a big success last year. It was fantastic to have such good conversations, not just at the beginning, but throughout the whole process. It performed a different function and had different values at different times of the year. So especially right at the beginning with the Xmas Bash event that I created, it not only had a good team camaraderie, relationship moment, but also was really useful for discussing all the different rosters that we wanted to take and what we thought was good and bad. We put up a lot of different kind of rosters that would be taken on that rule set. A lot of theory crafting that went on. But I think that as we went through the year, the role of the squad became more of a conversational support type function. And I think that this year we can do more, not just in challenging them, more on the next section with that, but also on trying to improve them. So what we want to do is create a proper improvement program. So this is taking things like, Purple Goose pioneered the Monday Night Football, where we have a discussion around a game that's being played, things like that, but on a wider basis. It can also figure into things like the Virtual Grand Tour and our plans for that. But effectively, having people review games from other people, rotating that around, focusing on lessons learned, creating new ideas and documenting insights for future squads. Now, part of that, which I'll talk about in a moment, is obviously brand new rules, brand new rule set. But mainly it's going to this part of it. We really want to focus on being able to demonstrate to people where we think they maybe made some mistakes or areas that they can improve. That could be anything from small tactical positioning differences right through to strategic choices. The development of that program, I think, also has to be decentralized. Again, it's something that I'm very invested in, but I need to make sure that I'm not spreading myself too thin. So we will be looking, probably my idea is to get one member of the committee to become the owner of the squad performance program, and then to nominate people with maybe a training or leadership background within the squad setting itself to take the lead in coming up with what this program of work looks like. And then I'll be almost like a sponsor to that, without having to interfere too much. Again, I think we need to decentralize a lot of these things. We need to have people excited to take their turn when it comes to the review sessions. It's not about homework. It's not about one person marking everyone's homework. It's about having those conversations and playing off of each other, and coming up with joint strategies, because it could very well be that, someone could say, I think you should do this instead. The other person say, well, this is what I was trying to do. And the person, oh, actually, yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe we can work together to the best of both worlds. So, yeah, that's how I see that one being implemented. One committee member to be sort of the owner of the squad performance program, with other members of Squad England taking on a sort of a facilitator role and helping it all to happen. I am really excited by the new rule set. I've almost surprised myself with how excited I am by it. The more information that comes out around how teams have changed, the more interested I've become in the whole process of what's going to happen. They're much bigger than I was expecting. I thought this would be a bit similar to the 2020 changes where things were tweaked, but I think the changes to the teams have really thrown everything open and not created a new game in the sense that it's different to what we know and love, but almost like completely created brand new teams, apart from Amazons, of course, who earlier on we all agreed were still top of the tree. So it's really important that we learn the balance of this new rule set. It doesn't surprise me to see people saying things like they don't think stunties are in the stunty tier anymore. Even simple changes like how good the Doom Diver is can suddenly make Goblins a ridiculously good team, potentially. Who knows? We need to find this out. And so, yeah, as I said in the last section, one of the things that we're going to challenge the squad to do is effectively crowdsource that. Not only is it really important to be really open-minded, the skill balance and everything is going to change, even if a team hasn't changed. The fact that its natural competitors, its natural rivals will have changed means that they will sit in a different position in the meta. We need to be super open-minded. As open-minded as any individual is, it's always better to have a huge range of people and people who love different teams as well, because they're going to be really invested with finding those things out. So the first half of the cycle when the game's released up until sort of around February time-ish, I imagine, we're all just going to be breaking the teams as much as possible. And then after that, we're going to start to look at specific new tactics, strategies, lessons learned. Are the old things still the same that we can learn? Or do we need to come up with completely new ones? Stalling, what's that rule all about? Is that going to be in tournaments? Where are the exploits there? Who knows? The idea is to create a playbook. This is something that I have been interested in building for a very, very long time. Anyone who remembers the origins of the Tackle Zone will remember that it was a website that I ran for a number of years until it all sort of fell apart in COVID times, as many things did, where I and some very nice contributors would post tactics articles. You may remember me with some plastic coloured cards marking out how many tackle zones each square had to sort of show lines through and what good formations were. So creating this sort of playbook has been something that, when was that? 2017, I think. Yeah, so about 8 years ago is when I first started writing these articles. Again, decentralization is the key. You'll hear me use that word a lot. I want to contribute to it, but I'm more interested in contributing to others contributing in it. And I think the squad is the perfect setup for that. We can take all of those great conversations that we were having last year, apply it to the new rules, apply it to the new teams, start to get things written down and formalize it. Once again, I would say that we should nominate one member of the committee to be the owner of this. And then find some key facilitators within Squad England. But yeah, everyone, including the non-Squad England members. We've had some really good chats on the Team England Discord today and the last couple of days as all the leaks have been coming out to really grab all of those ideas and formalize it. And then once that playbook is being written, it'll be a living document and we can share that with the rest of the English community as well. and also use it as the basis for maybe regional training, which will come a bit later. And then the final thing that I really want to do is team building games. So, these are going to be optional. People are really busy. We spend a lot of time playing one very silly game. Why not play some more silly games? So, again, it's something that I didn't want to push people on too much last time. I didn't fully know what the buy-in of the squad would be, but it was really good. I'm really hoping that this coming year, whether I win or not, I really hope that the engagement is even better, even stronger, even more people applying to be part of it. I've provisionally called it Squad 24. There's no reason why it can't be more. Can't be 100, obviously, that'd be unmanageable. But there's no reason why it can't be more. So yeah, have those applications come in. And yeah, we can run other little, maybe a blitz chess tournament. There's lots of good online, very frustrating online games that you can play, code breakers and things like that. So it's one of the things that I really want to do is start to really use the momentum that we built last year to further strengthen, further improve the teamwork and the bonding between people. And so yeah, setting up a regular itinerary. I think in my document I said every couple of months. That's probably for the bigger ones. Maybe something weekly just for those who want to get involved in some of those smaller online games as well. But I think anything that gets people connected and knowing each other, having fun and laughing together can only be positive for growing the community and really building us as a cohesive team. Okay, and now on to the second big section of community building. And yeah, the first one's a big one, regional leadership group. This is effectively an extension of all the great leaders that we have in our community, the people that run these leagues from all around the country, the people that run the tournament series. These guys put huge amounts of their time and effort. They know their people in their groups better than anyone else. And so one of the things I was really pleased about was how they started to use the Team England Discord to start to organize a lot of their own. There's a TSO section where there's lots of really good conversations around what goes on. I want to formalize that. I want to sort of invite them in officially so that they can all be a part of that, really link everyone up as well. Now, the reason why I've called this like a rebuild of the ambassador program is when Food was the captain before me, he did have an ambassador program around people that were going out. I liked it as a concept. I didn't like the specific implementation of it because I felt it was a bit too kind of people who the captain knew or people who the committee knew. And again, I'm going to say that word, decentralization. If everything is focused around one individual, what happens when that individual is not around anymore? Will it sustain beyond them? Possibly, probably not. What's really important is that as soon as you start to decentralize these things, it takes on a life of its own. The culture builds the relationship. I've said all of this before, I won't repeat myself, but all of those things are true across the board. It won't surprise you to know my plans for the implementation here, basically the same as everyone else. One committee member to be the owner, and then you've got that regional leadership group where we invite everyone in who wants to be involved, the sort of running a club, running a league, running a tournament series, to be a part of that so that we can start to build those networks together. This has two big advantages. Virtual Grand Tour, talk about that in a bit, but also using the playbook and the squad performance program to push those out into other places as well. One of the great bits of feedback I got from last year was how excited people were by this direction that we'd taken, and people saying, how do I get involved with Squad England? How do I improve? I don't think I'm good enough. How do I improve? What tools are available to me? Well, yeah, from a written perspective, obviously we're working on the playbook, but we're also looking to do things like create regional training weekends or days to replicate some of the ones that we hold for Team England. And so The way I see it is that the committee members who are responsible for the squad performance program and the playbook can work with the regional leadership group to start to work out what that would look like. It would be great if members of the squad could travel. And it doesn't necessarily have to be just kind of like official training per se. We can mix the day up, make it more interesting and exciting. Again, that's not something that I want to prescribe because different regions will want to do different things. And that's why we need to bring the whole of the regional leadership group into place, because they will know how to build successful events for the people that they know through getting feedback, decentralization. Again, not something that anyone or small group of people can do. So you can have things like mini team events. So, maybe you have a team of 4 Squad England people go down, maybe in the morning, do some training. And then in the afternoon, we could have some tournament games against each other. And, a little round robin or something like that. So lots of different ideas are possible. It's really about connecting people, giving them the empowerment to build what they want to build, and us in the committee just being real facilitators and promoters of that to make sure that they get what they want. This next section is the one that I definitely thought about most over the summer in terms of how I wanted to implement it. I think it's important to have 2 key bits of context to this before I go into the specifics of the ideas. One is very well documented by now, the negativity that surrounded the coverage of the Virtual Grand Tour. As I said before, some of that was just, maybe people getting a bit too carried away or not understanding the context. That needs to be fixed more on the Virtual Grand Tour in the next section. But we were having lots of conversations around the time around how do we sort of control that narrative? How do we make it so that we're the ones with the positive voice rather than just leaving it to some other people who maybe had different opinions on how this coverage should be done. We talked about having a Team England Twitch channel. We talked about, how that would be run, but for some reason, I just had this feeling that wasn't the right approach. I had a feeling that, again, if we tried to just do everything ourselves, really internal, it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't set a culture. There could be potentially unfairness with who we select. Again, just picking people that we know might not be the right thing. And so, yeah, I never really fully bought into the idea of having an official Team England Twitch channel that we would do the coverage for. The second part of this is around my thoughts. How do we get different people to engage with Squad England in different ways? So there are lots of people out there that like to engage with Blood Bowl in a different way to the people that maybe take the game as a more serious competitive game. There are lots of people that really like it for the hobby side. There are people that like doing podcasts. There are people that like do Twitch streaming. There are all sorts of people that love to engage in the game in completely different ways. How do we celebrate those people? How do we get them to buy in and be a supporter of Squad England in their terms and not just the way that I might want to engage with it? And so that's where the promoters group idea came from. It's about, again, decentralization. Sorry, I'll stop saying that probably. It's about giving those people a platform. I worked really hard last year to rebuild and create the momentum to create this platform that we could build great things on. And it's not just for me to build those great things, it's for everyone to build those great things. So I knew that we couldn't really do a lot of this last year, especially with the negativity. I wanted to have a bit of a break around all of the online coverage and then come back stronger this year, hopefully if I was re-elected, which I'm trying hard to be. And what this does is it gets people to be able to promote Squad England and Team England and everything that we're doing within their own environments. We are able to give stream coverage, as official as this can be, the official. I was thinking like maybe we could just try and put a logo. Like if we put the logos, like if we copyright our logo and then we put it onto the pitches, maybe if other people stream it, we can get them for a copyright breach to sort of stop them saying negative things about us. I don't know, something to think about. But we could go to the guys and say, do you want to do some Twitch streaming? Do you have a channel? You do it on your own channel. You're working so hard to build your own audience. Why not give you more content and allow you to engage in that way? Because if we put it all on an England Twitch stream, it's kind of wasted a bit, right? We want to give it to you. We want to build your audiences for you so that you're getting something out of this as well. I've had a couple of really great interviews with the guys at the Channeled Fury podcast. And what if they wanted to do some streaming? What if they wanted to start some Twitch streaming? Get their own Channel Fury Twitch channel, and we'll put the games on there, and then you guys can commentate and invite sort of crazy guest speakers in. Hopefully more people from Squad England sort of following along as well and sort of ripping on their mates. To do that, we're going to create a collaboration hub. We are going to create another charter for the promoters around what we expect of them to set those standards. Again, not something for me to dictate. That's something that the group would have to work together. But as I've said in another Q&A answer already, I see it being things like the Discord thing, right? Kindness and respect at all times. And then you can use mistakes as a learning opportunity, enjoy the theatre of the game, the enjoyment of it, just as a spectacle. Especially with Doom Divers going crazy, and Snotling Pump Wagons no longer being sent off, and Dwarf teams probably having to have a death roller because they have nothing else anymore. So very similar idea. One committee member, you know the story, one committee member to own this. Reach out to all the promoters, all the English podcasters and Twitch streamers, bring them together into a group, work out what those standards look like, create our broadcasting charter, get everyone to sign up to it. And then from that, I think a lot of it just becomes administrative, right? It's around scheduling, who's going to cover what. Maybe not so expensive as, trying to follow the football with needing an Amazon subscription and a TNT and a Sky subscription and all the rest of it. Just jump onto your favorite Twitch stream, and then we'll have a centralized area where we show all the broadcasting. I think that will be really fun, and I'm really excited to make it happen. Okay, so my webcam seems to have gone a bit fuzzy, which probably is a bonus for anyone watching, having to put up with my potato head. Right, what's next? Virtual Grand Tour. We're near the end, I promise. Virtual Grand Tour 2.0, bigger, better, all the buzzwords. I'm really keen on running this again. I want to change the format. I want it to be, I want it to take the best of what we had before with, engaging with some of the bigger clubs. I want to link it into the regional group so that we have regional teams. I want to keep the scheduling, again, quite snappy. I think it was too intense last time, but I think what we need to do this time around is change the format so that something like you have like a squad of 12, but only maybe 8 play, so that people can be subbing in and out all the time, so that, it's natural for people to not have to play every game and get burnt out. I'm hoping that, the major platforms of these games, Fumble BB3 or BB4, maybe we'll also move on to these. So maybe it doesn't start this side of Christmas. I think I want to do a Christmas bash again, and then we'll do and then we'll move on to the kind of the virtual Grand Tour. The plan is to run it over the spring and the summer. Hopefully, again, not the negativity because of the way of changing the promoters group. But also for it to not just be England versus someone. I want to create more of a league so that every region is playing every region. So again, last year, very much a proof of concept. I guess it's not really a virtual Grand Tour anymore. It's sort of just a virtual league. But we'll keep virtual Grand Tour because we've got some nice logos. So we'll keep the logos. Maybe we can copyright those logos. Thinking. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, I think in terms of what that looks like, I think we need to get the regional leaders group and the promoters group set up first. I think once we've done that, the virtual grand tour will naturally evolve from that due to a collaboration. So I think the best thing is, yeah, I've kind of showcased my vision here, but let's not speak in too much detail because we don't know what the exact detail will be. We'll let the right people decide that. Trying to figure a way just to put the word decentralized in. I can't. Travel guide. We are really lucky that so many people want to travel to these overseas tournaments now. Used to be a very small number of us, only about sort of 10 or so that used to do it fairly regularly. Maybe occasionally some more people would do a Dungeon Bowl or something like that, but the numbers were very small. Now it's a huge amount. There's lots of people. There's some people going to Helsinki this weekend. A bit of a Tom Loyne story around that, but again, this is running too long, so I won't go into that. So we're getting a wealth of experience. We're getting more and more people interested in going to these tournaments. Lots of us have been to some of the bigger ones. Some of us have been to the smaller ones. Have you ever heard of Fulginium? It's been on my list for so long. I really, really want to go. One day I will. A lot of you haven't even heard of it, and why it's, even though I haven't been, I still think it's probably the best tournament ever. So yeah, what we want to do is start to create some travel guides to these bigger tournaments, to these cities. It's possible that some of the younger players haven't even traveled necessarily very much. So the whole idea of, getting from an airport to another airport might be a bit of a scary experience for them, let alone going and sort of sitting in a hall somewhere and playing games for a weekend with some people we maybe don't really know very well. I was very lucky when I started playing that I had a good group of people who were very experienced that kind of dragged me into it, so very willingly dragged me into it. And so I want to be able to return that favour. So we've got lots of people with lots of great experience of tournaments. We want to write a travel guide, a tournament guide effectively, that will help with not only which ones are the best ones to go to, what the theme is, but some travel tips on how to get there and where to stay. That will just be, I think, just a community thing. I think we'll just accept it from anyone, just have a big working document, maybe create a wiki is probably the best thing to do, and then have some editors for that can control the submissions. So yeah, travel guide. Final section, we're nearly there. Shirt design competition. So I really liked our shirts this year. Maybe a bit too safe. Maybe it's a good thing that it was safe, seeing what happened the previous year. Let's not talk about that. But again, this came down to my thoughts of, like I was saying with the promoters group, how do we get people who love the game in different ways to engage in the way that they want to? Blood Bowl at its heart is a creative hobby. One of my favorite Blood Bowl experiences ever was at one of the Hard Six tournaments. It was my first one. I played a guy from the DBL, a guy called Komish, fantastic guy, fantastic painter, really good. His team was absolutely beautiful, and he introduced me by name to every single one of his models. I was too scared to touch the models, otherwise I felt like maybe I'd have to shake the hands of the models as we went down the line. But that's how some people want to play the game. It's very creative endeavor, and so why not have the creativity from the community design the shirt? There's got to be better than anything I could design. So yeah, we're going to have a shirt design competition. Obviously we'll veto anything that looks like maybe the shirt from 2 years ago, but then we will just have a community vote on the one that we like the most, and those are the shirts that we'll put into production. And not just shirts as well. We want to expand it out to other things. So again, lots of getting good feedback, what those designs might look like, and then get some merch up for sale to the general public, as well as for the traveling team. Quick summary at the end. This is an ambitious plan. Potentially it oversteps the remit of the captain, like probably many of my days from last year maybe overstepped the remit of the captain. I think we're trying to reform what the captain's role is based on what the community wants, and how to find better ways of engagement. This is going to take a lot of buy-in from a lot of people. This is not something that any one or small group of people can do. That's why I keep saying the word decentralized, isn't it? So we do need buy-in from the committee as well. I'm taking some liberties here. The committee's job is to support the captain. The charter doesn't say what the limit on crazy is for that support. So my first job, if I am elected, is to go to the committee and say, look, I run on this platform. This is what people have voted for. How can we make this happen and get their buy-in? Once we've got that buy-in and we've got the ownership sort of divvied up those responsibilities, then it's about finding the people that have the passion and the experience and the willingness and the time to support us, and making this a concerted effort. I really do believe, in the same way that my plans for last year created the momentum and the shared space in the platform that we have now, that my ideas for this coming year will create a culture. I don't think you can create a culture in 12 months. I think you have to sell a vision, and that is a very individualistic thing to do. I think you have to sell the vision as an individual. That's not to say that it can just be done. You do need people to follow along, and sort of you need those early adopters to create that momentum. One person is not momentum. You have to bring people along and they have to help as well. But the selling of the idea and the vision has to come from one person. Culture is the opposite. Culture cannot come from one person. Culture has to be something that everyone has put into. And so in the same way that last year was about rebuilding for momentum, this year is about evolution to create culture. So I really hope that I win this election. I really hope that you guys will vote for me to deliver this platform of great initiatives that I think will be a fantastic year, but also future years. Thank you.